What's up, everyone? Eric Allen here. You're back on the Life Absolutism channel. I am the founder. I like to talk about changing men's lives for the better. Why do I do it? Because I know how difficult it is. If there's one thing that my life can be summarized by, it's challenge. Challenge, challenge, challenge. And I'm talking from the beginning. I know everyone says I've had this really difficult life. I've been through this, I've been through that. Yeah, sometimes it's really difficult to offer a certain level of sympathy for people when you have gone through a difficult life, when you've met challenges. And meeting challenges as an adult is an absolutely different level of meeting challenges from being a child. As an adult, at least you have some kind of cognitive ability to be able to adapt or at least overcome certain things. There's certain scenarios that you're able to actually work past because of your age. There's certain things you're able to deter because of your size. There's certain things you're able to actually maneuver away from because you have that option, because you're an adult. As a child who's going through a lot of difficult times in life, there's often no one that you can turn to but the voice inside your head. And as weird as it is to say that, and as much as I don't want to paint a picture on kids kind of retreating and becoming introspective as their only hope, a lot of times that is exactly what happens because, maybe sometimes children don't have brothers and sisters. They don't have friends. They can't turn to their parents. They end up in a sad or an abusive environment, which they really don't have anyone but that voice inside their head. So they almost learn to navigate the world through their little eyes, through their limited experience, through their minimal physical ability. Like, there's so many things that can challenge a child that as an adult don't quite challenge us, but sometimes we go through life operating as though we are still that little child. We're not the adults that we've grown into. We're not the adults that are actually capable of making the change, of facing these challenges and actually overcoming these challenges. And that is one of the things that you actually have to begin to wrap your head around if you are actually pursuing changing yourself. So the title of this video is Do the Work. Do the work. What does that mean? That means just put in the work. And I know I'm oversimplifying this, and I know I'm just making it sound like, just do the work. You can do it. Come on. But I'm telling you, as somebody who's actually been through a hell of a life, and I'm talking from the get-go, just like I said, the earliest memories that I have of my home environment were of absolute abuse. And, just being punched, close-fisted by an adult man, repeatedly, just being the youngest child to have faced the brunt of that brutality on a sometimes daily basis, often weekly basis, definitely monthly basis, until the age of 13, 14, and then finally tapering off 15. I think the last time that I'd actually taken a beating from my father was when I was 15 years old. And then by the time I stood up for myself at the age of 16, he just kicked me out of the house. So this isn't meant to encourage any kind of sympathy. This isn't meant to kind of push people in the direction of, this poor guy, he must know what he's talking about. But I'm telling you, like, some of the most adverse scenarios that you can experience in your life are also the scenarios that make you the strong person that you will become. So if you are somebody that has had a lot of struggle, a lot of setbacks, a lot of pain, a lot of violence, a lot of bad things just happen to them in life, then honestly, kind of give yourself a high five, because at this point in your life, if you are an adult and you're still troubling yourself with getting to that point, to getting to that person, that version of the person that you want to become, you owe it to yourself to give yourself a pat on the back. You owe it to yourself to have made it through anything that you've overcome. You owe it to yourself to give yourself a high five for having made it through whatever challenges you made in life to get to the point that you are now. You've done a lot of the hard work. You've done the difficult part. Now comes the easy part, right? Now, I say that, and I know a lot of you are set back. You're set back in relationships. You're set back in work. You're set back in your home life. You're set back just overall. But the only thing that you're really set back by is yourself. Hear that again. The only thing that you're absolutely set back by is yourself. There is no physical limitation. Now, excluding anyone who might have some kind of physical ailment, a permanent physical ailment, there is no physical barrier preventing you from becoming the version of the person that you want to become. There is no invisible barrier that's preventing you from becoming the person that you are. Oftentimes, there's no person actually preventing you from fully becoming the person that you are. Now, as being somebody who's been in a number of abusive relationships, and yes, men can absolutely be in abusive relationships, as somebody who's been through those tough relationships, those narcissistic relationships, those relationships where that person just seems to only bring you down, to bring out the worst in you, to just create this black cloud around your aura, I get it. I completely get it. And yes, that person will, until you finally decide to get rid of them, or until they decide to finally move on by themselves, that is going to be a challenge. That is going to hold you back. But again, come within that before you even get to that process. One of the things that you absolutely have to confront is being able to do the work on yourself. You have to fix yourself. You have to start right here. Everything starts with up here. Your response, your interpretation, your action, it's all coming from your mind. You absolutely don't need to sit there and behave a certain way, to respond a certain way, to just give this type of reaction to something that isn't quite you. You don't need to be that way. You don't need to operate like the version of the person that you don't want to be any longer. So what I would like to tell you as a man to man, or man to woman in this case, if that's what you are 100% in charge of changing. Now, the only problem is you're looking at the situation. You're saying, I can't change. There's no hope for me. I've done this. I've done that. Yes. And I get that. That might absolutely be the case. But here's what the problem is a lot of times, and I created a video about this before with the manifestation, a lot of times what people look to do when they want to go change something is they go big. They go big, and then when it doesn't work out, they fall back. That is what you have to avoid. If you want to change, you need to start with manageable goals. You need to start at a micro level. You're not looking to conquer this right away. You're looking to conquer many of these little guys. And that could be, changing your routine. Try to change your routine. See how difficult it is. Try when you come home from work to set the keys down in a different location than you normally set them. Try setting your coffee cup somewhere different than you normally set it. Try getting undressed and ready for bed, or brushing your teeth in a different room. Try doing something other than the way that you normally do it, and find out just how difficult it is. Those are micro changes. Those are little things. Those are things that you can easily do, right? I mean, how difficult is it? I want to brush my teeth with my left hand versus my right. I want to brush my teeth in the bedroom versus in the bathroom. I want to, shower in the evening versus shower in the morning. Just change things up, but just understand that you have to be able to see these changes to feel like change is actually possible for you. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of words, but that's absolutely the key to getting things done. If you need to change and you see yourself in your head as, this is the version I want to be, this is who I am, you have to close the gap between the two. Now, I get it. If you're this person who makes $30,000, $40,000 a year, and you have a service-based job, you're still living at your parents' home because times are tight, or you're a single parent, or you're dealing with this, you're dealing with that, things are a little bit difficult. And this other version of you is this multi-millionaire version, this very successful version, this very competent, who's got a six-figure job type of person, like just a completely different version of who you are on this side. This is the person that you're picturing. This is who you want to be. This is the amount of ground that you have to cover to be able to get from here to here. Now, keep in mind, a lot of times we often picture ourselves as being the person over here, but what we don't realize is, unless you are an absolutely dedicated individual who does the work on a very daily basis, who's constantly at it, who never gives up, who never stops, who is relentless in their pursuit, you probably will not make it to the full extent of this personality that you want to become. You're here, you want to get here. A lot of times you're going to get about as far as this, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong, because what you set out to do was change yourself from that person, right, to become this person. Well, you didn't quite make it to that person, but you did become a different and better version of yourself. That is the goal. And once you become this version, so I'm sorry, the microphone's getting in my way. So instead of remaining this person because you want to be here, you move here. Now you're this person, which is different from that person, right? So now here's the differences. That's what you are. You're this now. And getting from this to this is so much easier. You just have to put in the work, and you have to be repetitive about it. If you watch the movie The Founder, it was a fantastic movie about McDonald's, the founding, and I read the book after that, and the book portrayed things a little bit different. The way Ray Kroc actually interpreted his life and the events was different than the movie. Overall, the movie pretty much got the gist of it, but there was a lot of details that went into it that were not accurate, but that's Hollywood for you, right? But the point is, at the end, and he said the same thing in the book, the one thing that made him the successful person that he was the fact that he didn't give up. It was perseverance. It was constant perseverance, and that's what you have to do. So let me tell you, there are ways of changing, and I get it. Again, you might be that person who's saying to yourself, I'm in a terrible relationship. If I get out of this relationship, I'm going to be broke. I'm going to be living at my parents' house because I'm paying child support for this or that, or I'm far too overweight to ever become that person. I'm overweight, I have a shitty job, I'm addicted to whatever, video games, porn, whatever, but you want to become this version of somebody else who is successful, who is charming, who is healthy, who is fit, who is strong. There's just so many differences between those two people. You can become this person. It's going to take a lot more than manifesting. It's going to take a lot more than just picturing in your head, but you do have to start here. Visualization will absolutely help you. It will help you. I've realized a lot in this video that I say the word absolutely a lot, but it will help you to constantly focus on that version of the person that you want to become, but it will not do all the work. If you want the work done, you have to be very, very solidified in your pursuit. You have to make effort on a daily basis. This doesn't mean go to the gym for a month, go to the gym for 6 weeks, really try, and then all of a sudden you don't see any results, so you say, I'm done. I'm getting out of this. I'm going back to how it was because at least I was comfortable there. That's not what you can do, all right? That's not what you should do. If you're really serious about wanting to change your life, set goals. Set small goals, okay? That is the number one thing that you need to do. Start there. Set goals. I want you to start today. Today, before you go to bed, set a goal. And that goal could be, I want to be in bed by 8:30, or I want to meditate for 15 minutes, and I want to continuously meditate 15 minutes for 7 days straight. Can you do that? Can you absolutely do that? Where you can, in that 15 minutes, visualize the version of yourself that you wish to become. Visualize yourself not in that situation that you're in, that you find so dire, that you find it so necessary to become this completely different version of yourself. Set small goals. Your goal might be to wake up tomorrow and do 30 minutes of yoga. Follow that up with coffee, a cold shower, get dressed, and leave for work a half hour early. Try doing that for 2 weeks straight. Set yourself a time goal. If you can do those things for 2 weeks straight, check it off the block. Check off the block. Give yourself 10 goals. Give yourself 20 goals, 25 goals. And when you begin to see on a very consistent basis that you're checking off all these blocks, you're like, man, I set myself the goal of getting up at 6 a.m. every day for 30 days. Done. I set myself the goal of no carbs after 7 p.m., no alcohol after this time, no caffeine after 5 p.m. I set myself the goal of doing this on a daily basis for 30 days, and I've accomplished 6 things, 10 things, 15 things, however many things. When you begin to see that you are a goal accomplisher, and not a goal failure, you're going to start seeing a more profound belief in yourself. You're going to start seeing yourself as more capable. That means as you begin to affirm, hey, I am that person that can get to be this person. I set myself a goal of losing 5 pounds in 30 days. I changed my diet. I did this, and now I'm an inch closer to becoming that version of myself. I'm that much closer to becoming that version of myself. But just imagine if I did this for 30 days and was this successful. What happens if I do this for 12 months? What happens if I do this for 18 months or 24 months? I could live a completely different life than what I live right now. That's all you have to do. I know change seems difficult. I know change sometimes seems impossible. I know many people who find themselves to be in these dire situations where they feel like there is absolutely no way that they could change their circumstances. They feel like if one thing is shit, everything has to be shit. If 5 things are shit, 10 things must be shit. That is not the case. You need to categorize appropriately. You need to say, I can't change this thing. I can't change this thing, but I can change this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, these 10 things over here. These things I have control of. This little thing I do not have control of. And that might be, you're somebody whose ex has custody of the child, and there's not much you can do about it, at least not for now. You might be in a situation where the woman of your dreams, the man of your dreams broke up with you and they're out seeing somebody else. You can't control that right now, nor should you try to. And I've had a video about that. I will make more videos about that, but you cannot control that. The one thing that you can do is control everything over here, everything on the side that you have absolutely control of. That means your fitness levels, your sleep levels, your focus levels, your work commitment. There's so many things about your life that you can actually commit to, even though you can't control this one little aspect or these 2 aspects or these 5 aspects. Just understand there's always going to be circumstances outside of your control, but that doesn't mean that your life is incapable of changing for the better. That doesn't mean that just because you've hit the age of 45 or 55 or 65 that it's too late. You should have started at 25 and you'd be fine. Successful people will always tell you that they've gone into things with no excuses. They've asked for no permission. They've sought no excuses. They've given no excuses, and they will not feel bad for themselves. They understand that there's things they can change, and they understand there's things that they cannot change. And the things that they can change, they will change those things. They will work on those things. Even if you can't get a complete 180-degree change from what you are or some scenario that you want to see changed, actually, if you can get half of that, you're still successful. If you can get 150 out of 180 degrees, you're still successful. You need to start looking at things from a broader perspective. Don't ever feel like your situation is dire. Feel like your situation is just not what you want it to be, but you can still change those many things that you have control over and begin working in that direction. Now, consistency is what comes after that. So yes, we have to start up here. You have to begin by saying, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. I expect by 30 days from now, I will have taken 30 cold showers. That's just an example. But just put yourself in that position. Start to commit to change. And here's what you have to do after that. You actually have to commit. You have to stick with it. You have to persevere. You have to push through it and not stop. So here's some of the things that I actually recommend for you if you're finding it difficult to kind of track your progress. All right. Number 1, start a daily log. All right. For the last 5 years, I've carried around an agenda book. I think this is actually the first year I've tried to go digital with that. It's not successful with me. I don't recommend it. I try to keep everything in my calendar, but for some reason, it just feels better to me to have a book that I carry around. So there's that. Start a daily log. With that daily log, what you're going to be able to do is set yourself goals. Give yourself 5 goals for that day. Give yourself 3 goals for that day. And that should only occupy a third of the page, a quarter of the page, whatever. And write down those goals. If you met those goals, write why you met those goals. If you didn't meet those goals, write why you didn't meet those goals. Maybe your goal was to knock out, 3 projects at work and get those done and knocked out by the time you went home. But unfortunately, you only got 2 of those accomplished, but you would have got the third accomplished if you had decided to pick up your computer and go work in the conference room versus your cubicle or your office where people can come in and repeatedly bother you. That's what you want to do, is actually set the goals and sit there and analyze why they did or did not work. Do it even if they worked. Sit there and write, okay, well, it worked because I did this. Awesome job. Maybe you can apply that to something else. Or it didn't work because I did this, or I didn't do this. And now I need to go back to drawing board and I need to sit there and say, okay, how can I not do that again? How can I change that? How can I make sure that this doesn't happen again so that tomorrow when I come back and try to meet those 3 goals, I am able to actually meet those 3 goals? See, the big problem is we don't give ourselves enough time to think. A lot of times, if you just shut off the TV, put down your phone, don't touch any music, don't touch any radio, just sit there and think. A lot of times, if you just put your mind to work, you will find solutions. If you put your mind to work, you will come up with brilliant suggestions of how to get out of your scenario. It's just most people don't do the work. Most people don't want to sit there and commit to it. I'm not much different than that. I admit I'm guilty. My last 10 minutes of every day, I should be focusing, I should be meditating. But oftentimes, one of the things that I want to do is decompress. I've spent this entire day just thinking and thinking and working, that when I get to bed, by the time I finish reading and I want to just shut off the light, the last thing I want to do with my day is turn on the iPad and put on an episode of Seinfeld and fall asleep. And it takes about 10 minutes, That's just how I do it. So even I'm guilty of that. But if I sat and I directed that 10 minutes towards something else, if I took that 10 minutes and I just sat there in the dark, thinking about the day, thinking about what I'm going to do differently the next day, that would be fantastic. That would be progress, right? It doesn't mean that I'm a failure because I don't do that, but that's just what you have to take into consideration, is most people do not want to take the time to think. So do yourself a favor. Take time to think about these things, all right? Give yourself 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day of just silence. Put down the phone. Turn off the TV. Get rid of the distractions, and you will see how easily you're able to come up with things. I mean, honestly, if somebody put you on an important project and they said you and you alone are able to figure this out, but they want to see your suggestions by the end of an hour, and you sit there and you go to work and you're like, well, I can improve this process if we did this, if I change this, if you maybe considered getting rid of this and implementing this, we could have a significantly different outcome. Do that for yourself. Do that for yourself, because you are going to benefit from this far more than anyone ever will. All right? You will benefit from it tremendously. The next thing I would say is actually enforce deprivation. And when I say enforce deprivation, that means force yourself to go without certain things. Force yourself to go without certain luxuries. Pretend that for a week you don't have any internet access while you're in the home, or maybe while you're outside of the home. So that way, once you leave the house, you leave your bathroom, you leave your kitchen, and you go out that front door, you will not check social media again for the rest of the day. You will not sit there and text with anyone more than 5 minutes. You will not sit there on the phone and talk to people repeatedly day in and day out over senseless conversations and senseless topics when you don't have to. Enforce deprivation on yourself. Force yourself to go without things. When you do that, you begin to realize that you were fine all along. There's been times where I've deleted social media in the past because I've said, hey, I just need a social media break. I'm going to take a step back from it. I'll come back to it in 30 days. I'll let my friends know. I'm taking a 30-day break. See you guys. If you need me, hit me up. And, for the first day, my habit, my thumb always wants to just go right to the app. But the second day, third day, things get a little bit more comfortable. And then I begin to realize, man, I feel good. I'm not triggered. I'm not sitting there looking at people posting, fake shit all the time. I'm not watching people sit there and repeatedly, regurgitate the same type of content just because it's trending and they want to be just as funny and have just as many followers. things that are triggering, like things that put you in a bad mood, the news, maybe just not look at the news, but you start to see, like, after a while of going without these things, that it actually feels good. It feels like it never was that much of a challenge. You just made it a challenge for yourself because you were so addicted, and that's where that whole chemical process comes in. Listen to Joe Dispenza. He talks all about that type of thing. You are those thoughts, and those thoughts are that way because they produce chemical reactions. Chemical reactions lead to addictions. Addictions lead to repeated behaviors. So when your body is used to feeling a certain way at a certain time, it triggers that response, that chemical reaction in the brain, by conjuring up thoughts of things that produce that same type of reaction. If you can get ahead of it and you can say, no, I'm not going to think of my girlfriend cheating on me. I'm not going to think of my boyfriend cheating on me because I know they don't. I know it's just my insecurity. You get ahead of it, like you work on it. And when you stop doing that, you stop feeding your mind and your body that chemical reaction that it's so addicted to. So just try that, okay? Force deprivation on yourself. Take time away from things. Be uncomfortable. It's in those moments of discomfort. It's in the moments, the years that you had growing up as a child, facing this struggle, that difficulty, that challenge that formed you into the survivor, the strong person that you are today. So you can absolutely face whatever's coming your way now. You can face whatever's ahead of you because you've endured these many things. It's all the same. Enjoy the difficulty. I know it sounds weird to say that, but enjoy the difficult moments, enjoy the struggles, enjoy the deprivation, because that is what builds character. That is what challenges you and actually hardens your exterior. Those are the things that make you the stronger, more formidable person that you want to become. The last thing I would say is change things. So just like that example I said of, changing different behaviors. When you get up tomorrow and maybe the first thing you always do is have a cup of coffee and read the newspaper. Maybe tomorrow when you wake up, have a glass of water, don't touch the newspaper. Have a glass of water and do 15 minutes of stretching. Maybe go to the gym, maybe do a quick 10-minute walk around the neighborhood. Just do something different. Change things. If you begin to change things, then you don't really represent that person over here anymore, right? If you have enough things changed and, after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever, you've changed 10 things about yourself. And you're like, well, yeah, I used to eat sugar often. Now I don't eat sugar past 11 a.m. I used to drink coffee like an addict. Now I don't drink any coffee past 3 p.m. Or I have 2 cups and that's it for the day. Or I have only decaf after a certain point. Change things about yourself. If you don't want to be this person anymore and you want to be this person, change things about yourself. Change those characteristics that kept you locked down into that current version. At the end of the day, what are we really talking about? We're really talking about the fact that people don't change because they don't want to do the work and because they don't want to engage their brains. That's it. That's really all it boils down to. And if you want to change, you have to do the work up here and you have to do the physical work. You just have to work. That means if you want to find your way out of something, if you want to find solutions, engage your brain. Go back to work. Be like, one of the many people from Generation Z and the boomers, or sorry, not Generation Z, but Gen X. Be one of these people like myself who remembers a time before smartphones, before pagers. We're still the people that remember what it was like to have a cable box that was attached to the TV. It was a cord or a house phone or a rotary phone. Just be those types of people who remember the time in life where it took a movie months to come out on VHS, where DVDs didn't come out for months after the movie was released in theaters. Be the type of person who understands that conveniences don't come like that. Food doesn't get delivered to you just like that. Validation doesn't come to you just like that. Satisfaction, mind-numbing activity, it doesn't come to you like that. Start being the person who engages themselves. Be the person that lives in this world where they feed their mind 30 minutes a day, where they actually engage in thought and they change things about themselves. You have to change. So engage in thought and do the work. Put in the work. If you can do that If you can do that, if you can stop acting like the person over here and start acting like the version of the person that you want to become, I 100% promise you, you will see a different life. Do it for 60 days, do it for 90 days, do it for 365 days. You will not be the same person anymore. You just won't. You will never be that person again. But you first have to do the work. That's all I got. If you like it, please subscribe. I really want to gain the subscriber list. I really want to gain more popularity on this channel because I want to be able to fulfill this for people. I want to be able to help people as much as possible. I want to be able to help men my age. I want to be able to help women my age. I just really want to be able to help people navigate the complexities of life. If this information sounds helpful to you, please share it. Please like, please subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.